Coccidiosis is one of the most common and most misunderstood health issues in goats. Some herds barely deal with it, others lose kids every season. Today, I'm breaking down what Coccidia actually is, how it functions, which strains are the most dangerous, how genetics and stress play into it, and the management shifts that finally broke our yearly cycle of coccidiosis. If you've ever dealt with diarrhea, weak kids, or unexplained losses, this episode will give you clarity. Hey friends, welcome to the Get Goatwise podcast. Are you longing to raise goats and other animals for food but don't know where to start? Do you want to be more self-sufficient and less dependent on the grocery store? Do you wish you had a mentor to walk you through raising livestock? Hi, I'm Millie, animal scientist, cattle girl turned goat rancher, co-owner of Dry Creek Livestock, and simple living enthusiast. For 15 years, I've been on a mission to raise all of our own meat, eggs, and dairy. Here, we'll talk about raising goats and other homestead livestock, how to create sustainable animal management systems that actually work, and a bit of off-grid life with kids and livestock. If you're ready to take control of your food supply, raise livestock with confidence, and provide your family with the most nourishing meat, eggs, and dairy available, you're in the right place. Kick off your muck boots, pour a cup of coffee, and let's talk livestock. Hey friend, I'd love your help spreading the word about the Get Goatwise podcast. If this show has helped you, would you take a minute to leave a review? It really makes a difference, and it's easy. Just go to Get Goatwise on Apple Podcasts, scroll down to ratings and reviews, click on the purple words that say write a review, then give me some stars and tell me what you think. And as a thank you, I've got a free kidding due date chart waiting for you. Just head to getgoatwise.com/kidding-chart. It's on the honor system. You leave a review, grab your chart, and know that you're helping other goat owners find the show. Here's what's happening on the ranch this week. Daily feeding is getting routine now. We don't quite have enough snow to go ahead and start feeding outside of the night trap yet. If we do, I'm afraid they'll go after the regrowth in the pasture, which we don't want right now. Everything is pretty much dormant though, so if they did, it would probably be okay. We're trying different things around here, and part of that is not regrazing the pasture that surrounds the barn area. Stacy and Sage went and mounted some gates from an earlier fence project. They needed to wait for snow to eliminate fire risk because they were mounting the gates to steel pipe posts, and that requires the cutting torch. The buck kids are ready to be sold, so I'll be contacting buyers and then listing the bucks. We brought in another load of hay. With our growing cow herd and the number of horses we have, I started to feel uneasy about the risk of a hard winter this year, so it was the safe thing to do. We're also feeding 20% more goat kids right now compared to last year, so I need to address that too. We're under a month until bucks get put in, so I'm being extra diligent about mineral, and the kids are making sure the does are getting plenty of hay going into breeding season. On to today's topic. Coccidia is one of those things that sounds complicated at first, but once you understand the basics, it becomes very manageable. And honestly, understanding Coccidia can solve a lot of mysterious kid health problems, especially in the weaning season. Let's break it down clearly and practically. What Coccidia actually is. Coccidia are microscopic, single-celled protozoan parasites. They're not worms, they're not bacteria, and they're not visible to the naked eye. They are obligate intracellular parasites, meaning they have to live inside the intestinal lining to survive and reproduce. Inside the gut, they invade the cells, multiply, and then burst those cells open. That's where the real damage comes from. How infection happens. Think of the Coccidia life cycle in real-world steps. 1. Goats shed oocysts, the parasite eggs, in their manure. 2. Those oocysts sit in the environment, especially in warm, moist bedding. 3. After a little time, they become infective. 4. Another goat comes along and eats contaminated hay, feed, or water. 5. The parasite enters the intestinal lining and starts multiplying. Most adult goats have some level of coccidia and handle it just fine. The trouble happens when kids ingest a high load, the strain is aggressive, the immune system is stressed, and the environment is dirty or wet. That's when coccidiosis shows up. Symptoms of coccidiosis. Coccidiosis can look like a lot of other issues, so knowing the common symptoms helps you catch it early. Not every goat shows all of these, but when several line up, especially in kids during weaning season, you should be thinking about coccidia. Here's what you'll typically see. 1. Diarrhea. This is the big one. It can be soft and pudding-like, watery, and occasionally bloody if the gut lining is really irritated. Not every case is bloody. People often wait for that. Don't. 2. Dehydration. Kids go downhill fast when they lose fluids. Signs include sunken eyes, tacky gums, skin that doesn't snap back as quickly. 3. Poor appetite or slowed nursing. Kids will still want to eat, but may back off because their gut hurts. 4. Rough hair coat and weight loss. Coccidia damages the intestinal lining, so kids stop absorbing nutrients. Even after the diarrhea clears, they may look rough for a while if the gut took a hit. 5. Weakness or lethargy. A kid who was bright yesterday and dull today is a red flag. 6. Failure to thrive. Some kids don't crash, they just never quite take off. That's often the chronic form of coccidiosis. 7. Outbreak patterns. If several kids in a group are dealing with the same symptoms at the same time, especially around stress points like weaning, weather swings, or overcrowding, coccidia is high on the list. Age and incubation period matter with coccidia. Kids younger than about 3 weeks old almost never show clinical coccidiosis because the parasite needs time to complete its life cycle in the gut. The incubation period is 17 to 21 days, meaning a kid has to ingest the oocytes and then 2 to 3 weeks have to pass before symptoms show up. This is why most cases hit in that 4 to 8 week window, especially around weaning or any kind of stress. You can see it in older kids too, but if you're looking at a very young kid under about 30 days and you're seeing diarrhea, coccidiosis is lower on the list compared to other causes. The key thing to remember is that coccidia destroys cells in the gut as it multiplies. So the symptoms you're seeing on the outside reflect what's happening on the inside, and that's why early diagnosis and treatment matter. Let's talk about the strains that cause the most damage and why some outbreaks get severe fast. Not all coccidia strains are equally harmful. The most pathogenic species in goats include Eimeria ninacaleae, Eimeria arloingi, and Eimeria christenseni. These strains can attack both the small and large intestine, causing severe or bloody diarrhea, dehydration, weight loss, rough hair coat, long-term intestinal damage, and death in severe cases. The large intestine repairs slowly, so when coccidia damage it, recovery is tougher, and kids often fail to thrive long-term. The genetic component. Some goats handle coccidia better than others. There's real genetic variability in immune response, resilience, how quickly the gut can repair, and overall susceptibility. We saw this clearly in our own herd over the years. Research even points to certain genes, like NRAMP1, being involved in resistance to intracellular parasites. It's not something you select for casually, but it's real. This is why 2 kids raised side by side can have totally different outcomes. Stress, environment, and management. Coccidiosis almost always shows up when stress and environment stack up. High-risk situations include weaning, overcrowding, wet bedding, cold, damp weather, hauling, abrupt diet changes, concurrent worm loads, high-grain show diets, and confinement systems. If you give coccidia stress, plus moisture, plus a heavy oocyst load, you're almost guaranteed to see trouble. Before we shifted to our current management system, we had coccidiosis in our show goats almost every year. We were raising fast-growing kids in the winter with lots of stressors stacked on each other. And when Coccidia hit those kids, it hit hard. We lost kids. The ones that survived often carried gut damage for life. They never fully caught up. The combination of aggressive strains, confinement, stress, and genetics created the perfect storm. But once we stepped away from show genetics completely and rebuilt our herd around durable, low-input, forage-first stock, everything changed. Timing changed it too. We stopped forcing January kidding and moved to kidding on pasture in alignment with the natural season in June instead of January. That one shift removed cold stress, moisture, confinement, and overcrowding all in one. Since making those changes, we haven't had a single case of clinical coccidiosis in the main herd in 3 years. Not one. Any coccidiosis cases we've dealt with since then have been in bottle kids, and bottle kids are already at a disadvantage. They're stressed, they don't get the same start as dam-raised kids, and they spend a lot more time in the barn to keep them safe, which increases exposure. Same ranch, same climate, same predators, just different genetics, better timing, and a more natural system. And the difference has been dramatic. Let's recap from last week about species specificity. Goat coccidia infect goats only. Chicken coccidia infect chickens only. They do not cross over. This is why chickens are not a source of coccidiosis for goats, despite what older advice says. But other diseases like cryptosporidium can pass between species. So if either your goats or your chickens are unwell, keep them separate until you know what's going on. For more on that, check out episode 86. What actually works? Practical prevention. You don't need complicated protocols. You need good management. Here's what matters. Keep bedding dry. Moisture is the enemy. Avoid overcrowding. Give kids room to move and clean ground to rest on. Reduce stress wherever possible. Slow weaning, consistent routines, good nutrition. Rotate spaces or rest them when you can. Hard cleanouts between kid groups help too. Watch kids closely in high-risk windows. Weaning, weather shifts, and feed transitions are peak times. Consider tannin-based supplements as a supportive option. There are tannin-rich plant-based products designed to support gut health and create a less favorable environment for coccidia. These aren't medications and they don't replace veterinary treatment, but some herds see value in them. We're currently incorporating a tannin-based additive into our mineral mix, especially for our show goat breeders and for anyone who battles heavy coccidia pressure. I'll share more once I have long-term results. If you suspect coccidiosis, contact your vet immediately. Coccidiosis is one of the few kid health issues where timing really matters. The parasite damages the gut as it multiplies, and waiting even a day or two can mean the difference between an easy turnaround and a kid that never fully recovers. Your vet can run a fecal, confirm the diagnosis, and prescribe the right medication if treatment is needed. Early action gives kids the best chance of a full recovery. A balanced, low-stress environment does most of the heavy lifting, but when coccidiosis shows up, you want your vet involved fast. Here's the bottom line. Coccidia is normal, it's everywhere, but coccidiosis, the disease, is not inevitable. When you understand how the parasite functions, how stress impacts immunity, which strains are dangerous, and how your environment influences exposure, you can make simple management choices that keep kids healthy and thriving. And here's the non-negotiable part. If you think you're seeing coccidiosis, get your vet involved right away. It's a fast-moving issue, and early treatment makes the biggest difference. You don't need to live in fear of coccidia. You just need clarity, good systems, and quick action when something looks off. I hope this episode gives you a better understanding of coccidia and the management strategies you can use to prevent coccidiosis. If you have questions, email me, Millie, M-I-L-L-I-E, at drycreekpastures.com, or come on over to the free community and start a conversation. That's at getgoatwise.com/community. See you next week. Hey there, thanks for listening today. I'm so glad you're here. If this episode helped you or encouraged you in some way, share the link with your homesteading friends. And if you really want to help me out, click on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review. You can connect with me on Instagram or email linked in the show notes, and meet me back here soon for more Get Goat Wise.